I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All your Uraraka fans, run. Just click off the video now. I'm gonna have to slander her! Thank you to our $5 patron, Sinus Lancelot. And a big thank you to our $25 patron, the Mr. Greed. Now, before we hop into this review of chapter 347 of My Hero Academia, please, in favor, leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure to hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I got a pencil here, and here we are to read chapter 347 of My Hero Academia, which is known as inflation. And speaking of inflation, Uraraka stocks are deflating, bro. How do you mess up this badly? Tell me, how is your whole character centered around one thing and you fail at that one thing? Your main villain takes it before you can. How? Well, enough of that. Let's hop right into the chapter itself. So we open up, and we do get to see Shigaraki. That man, he's pelvic thrusting into them hands. Like, they are coming out of him uncontrollably. And honestly, like, can he feel all of that? Like, these all are, like, functioning hands, right? This isn't just, like, some random... These aren't constructs. They aren't, like, metal or anything like that. These are hands with actual, like, feelers and, like, whatever skin cells, right? Doesn't that feel awkward? Like, I mean, I guess it would just be like making a fist, but like making a fist 15,000 times over? I don't know. Because they're like all overlaying. And notably his, like, you gotta think about it. And I know he has a superhuman, insanely enhanced brain too. But your body, like, imagine if you just got an extra arm. Imagine how your body would have to restructure to think about that. Like, your body's gonna have to take into the processes of all the individual muscles and sinews in that extra arm. Shigaraki doesn't just have one extra arm or one extra hand. He has hundreds, if not thousands, at the rate he's growing. And he's just rocking with it. Like, it's just crazy to me that he's doing all this, especially at the rate he's doing it. And it still looks kind of disgusting. Horikoshi, there are different ways to flex your ability to draw hands. Stick to the profile pictures. But we get to see that everyone is obviously a bit confused by the fact that Shigaraki is growing out like this, when notably his quirk should be shut down. And when we get to the explanation, we'll get to it. But we see that the main question for everyone right now is, well, wait a minute, Monoma, you had one job. Why is he still activating a quirk? And Monoma's like, it ain't me. My erasure's properly activated. My eyes are still wide open. I haven't even thought of blinking it. It's not my fault. What's going on here? And of course, the main thing that comes out that Edshot immediately thinks of, which I guess is the immediate thought process, is, well, if he's getting hit by erasure, then whatever this hand growth is not a quirk. And Shigaraki goes on to explain that this is just growth, nothing but flesh. Just like hairs on your head or nails on your hands grow, a quirk will evolve, and so the body must adapt to it, giving birth to a new form. This is the peak of supernatural society, Dr. Garaki's so-called quirk singularity. Heroes have been turning their backs to reality, trying to suppress the future of humanity. So oblivious. And, because it's weird. Ew, it's just so weird seeing the fingers grow out of finger. But, I'm not... Quirk singular... Like, I remember, this is a concept that was introduced a while ago, but this being its conclusion is kind of strange. I guess it's just, like, a quirk beyond quirks? Like, because there's a different... Like, we can't functionally control our growth. Like, right now, I want you to squeeze as hard as you can and try to grow your hair. It's not gonna happen. Your body kind of does that on its own. So I guess would that be maybe I can kind of get it not being a quirk, right? Because you can control how your hand grips and you can control speaking, obviously. So I guess what Garaki did, I don't think this is much more a quirk singularity. This may just be like a biological adaptation that should technically fall under the quirk category, but I guess because it's made by science and not naturally, it isn't. I think the only thing Garaki did was give Shigaraki access to his body's cell division factor and give him control of that. And the way that we have control over the fact that we can speak, make noises, move our hands, move our feet, toes, walk, stand, all that stuff like that. Like, the fact that we can control our body, he's just given Shigaraki the keys to that. However, at the same time, and this goes into the whole, like, how much of an amp is this? Notably, Shigaraki, unless I'm mistaken, he should have a half-life limit, right? Like, he should have a limit to how much his cells can split to a point where all this excess growth with no quirk supporting it shouldn't necessarily be allowed. Like, he's essentially what I'm afraid of right now. And to be fair, there may be this many worse of Shigaraki's, because I think, your body is 98% replaced every year. So, say you live 100 years of your life, that's like 100 replacements that your body gets every single year, because your cells are constantly dying and splitting and being reborn. Like, this amount of mass that Shigaraki is producing should be burning through his very limited lifespan, considering he, once again, has no quirk backing this. If he is just controlling his body's cell division through, like, I'm not exactly sure how I would even explain it, but, like, I feel like Uraraka may have just cut his limitations, the body naturally grows hair, the body naturally grows nails. But somewhere in there, I bet if you were to, like, inspect the human genome enough and see the things that allow us to control the way some of our body parts move, Uraraka undid that and plugged up Shigaraki's brain in order to allow him to spread stuff out. And it's an interesting way. I wouldn't call it a quirk singularity, though. I think that would be different. I think a quirk singularity would be something along the lines of, well, Shigaraki and All for One themselves. Like, the ability to have multiple quirks locked into one individual and have them have the ability to switch between it. I don't think the ability to just grow your flesh is necessarily the definition of a quirk singularity, but however, I don't exactly remember how Uraraka outlined it, so maybe it is something different. However, another interesting thing to note, just character-wise here, that I do like about this, is that it's showing that Shigaraki is, he isn't properly fused with All for One. And this is something that I noted last chapter review, but is very evident here. This is All for One talking. I completely, like, this is All for One's conscious just being like, hey, let me grab the microphone. And notably, this is interesting because what All for One thought happened was that he and his son had fused in a sense, like they had become one individual being. But as we can see that by this constant back and forth, Shigaraki last chapter that just went straight for and just tried to destroy everything and literally asked his other self to not do anything, versus the other self that's now proclaiming this idea of quirk. Like, do you think Shigaraki can even spell singularity? I doubt it. I don't think he could. If it's longer than 5 letters, I don't think Shigaraki can spell it. So I highly doubt he has any idea about a quirk singularity. But All for One, a person who's been searching for this alongside Uraraka for literally over 100 years at this point, he very likely would have access to that knowledge, and he would want to prove it, and this would be him proving it. And of course, I think that's pretty cool. Even if, once again, not the biggest fan of Shigaraki being hijacked in the first place, if this is a byproduct of it, it'd be like that when it be like that sometimes. We take what L's we have to take in order to get the successes that we end up getting. And this is an interesting way for Shigaraki to fight back against Erasure, because essentially he's not, but this is, to me, it seems counterintuitive, right? Because one, hey, flick limit. Like, maybe you don't want to split your cells that much, Shigaraki. I'm not sure how much your lifespan has been extended. Who knows? Maybe you can't shut down Garaki's life. No, you can, because Garaki aged in front of us. So, like, you can very easily shut down life force if it's getting hit by erasure. So, Shigaraki, you kind of burning through your life force right now. But two, like, dude, you're as fast and as strong as All Might. Now, let me take a look where Monoma is. I can't exactly tell. Hold on, let me go back to the last chapter. Because unless I'm mistaken, unless he's hidden somewhere special, he's kind of hidden somewhere. So maybe Shigaraki can't reach him just yet. But if I'm as fast and as strong as All Might, and my main goal is to get out of here to go find the one dude I actually need alive, I'm just not that guy. I'm not playing with y'all. I'm lunging at you with my beyond or on par with All Might's prime levels of speed and strength, punching you in the mouth and then leaving. Heck, no, forget that. I'm not even punching you in the mouth. Fine. You really want to fight me? Oh no, that's wonderful. Punch the ground, leave. I don't know. I would just be getting out of there. There's no reason for me to stay here. But of course, plot. So it makes sense, and we get to see that Miruko, like. Someone said it so aptly, and hopefully I can find the comment. Someone said it so aptly. The story's about to end anyway. We don't need them all alive, right? And And notably, I was low-key on that type of energy with Miruko. Like, I was like, as much as I love her as a character and I love her design, I think she's great. And I know she's one of Horikoshi's favorites, so I highly doubted she was going to die in that moment. Like, seeing her get... I can't say it. I can't... Then again... No, I didn't. No, I had to edit that out. Never mind. So, after seeing her get literally... I can't say that either. Beat up. Let's say beat up. There we go. After her getting beat up by Shigaraki, she's fine and just on the ground, and she calls for a spare. And once again, it really makes you wonder how... Like... Was that just there? Did she go to the perfect... How intricate is the UA underground that they're floating on? I wonder, because she called out spare, and like 2 seconds later, in the perfect spot, she got herself back up and ready to go. So I'm not complaining. It just was really rapid. So they have a good system. I will admit they have a good system, even though Shigaraki take your girth and just destroy it all. Like, you literally have gigantic hands, just crush everything. But of course, we get to see that Miruko is like, well, I almost died last chapter. Might as well bait him again. I'll fend him off until we can regroup. So hang in there. And, like, Miruko, you are fast. Miruko, you are strong. Miruko, you are best girl. However, how are you alone exactly going to fend off the dude that literally just one-shot you? Like, he beat you so bad your prosthetics came off. And he did it by probably pure accident. He literally just lunged out with some hands. If he actually has some, malicious intent, what do you exactly plan to do against that man? But of course, we get to see that Dynamite isn't... This is... I don't really get it. I mean, to be fair, this is still Bakugo's development, right? Because while he does correct her with great explosion, deity of slaughter Dynamite, he still says, you're the one who should stay back. Like, Bakugo actually cares about the well-being of another individual like Miruko, because, no offense to Miruko, but she's literally disabled right now. Like, she has multiple backup arms and legs, but that doesn't mean she's suddenly the perfect and most viable offensive tool out there. She still is always going to be lagging behind the people who still have all their limbs. So he's still showing care. It's just that he has aspects of the old Bakugo which really, really, really care about his name. And... I guess it's the follow-up line that bothers me the most. Because it's like, when Miruko... Because these two do have hot-headed personalities. So it makes sense that these two would constantly come to clashing, because it's not necessarily in their nature to be, like, cordial, kind, respectful individuals. It's just not what they do. So it makes sense that they both start yelling at each other. But, man, come on now. She's not a... Bakugo, don't insult best girl like that. She's not a stupid rabbit. She's just... She kind of is, like, I don't know. I wouldn't fight Shigaraki right now with her condition. However, of course, Beshinus, being the organized one, is like, come on now, kids. Focus back up. We gotta do it ourselves. And we get to see that the course of action that Beshinus sees is pretty obvious, but those two can't. And I get it. But, like, on both fronts, I kind of get what they're going through, right? Because Beshinus apparently has this perfect plan in his head. And what he goes to say on does kind of make sense, even though it really doesn't. But especially in Miruko and Bakugo's case, I don't even blame them for being, like, obvious. Because it really isn't. Like, what do you do? I actually don't know what he would do in that scenario. Given the tools we have at present in this moment, I don't see how they would beat Shigaraki at all, because the dude is essentially unstoppable. And apparently, if he can make these hands, he can likely heal himself too. So he could literally sit there and let himself get bullied for who knows how long. And then once you're all tired, he could literally just walk over and just... Like, they have no way to defeat him right now. No one here, except for maybe... Unless Bakugo were to literally take his nitroglycerin sweat and shove it down Shigaraki's throat, and then detonate him to the point where he can't just regenerate. Somehow, I don't really see how anyone here has the power necessary to put Shigaraki down. So I don't even blame them for being so confused. And what I do like is it's minor, right? Like, it's not the most crazy thing out there, but I do love how Monoma, a perfectionist and someone who doesn't ever want to fail, and of course, failure here means the deaths to not just civilization, but all of them. He's like, wait, Sensei, I'm doing it just like I taught you. This can't be my fault. Like, please. Like, I know he feels so desperate, and this whole situation feels pretty desperate too, which is why, like, some of the Miruko and Bakugo isms kind of like drag the tension down a little bit, but I get it. You know, you can't have top of the line tension all the time. It's a balance, as all things should be. And we get to see that these hands are they're being thrown according to Izawa, and notably Mandalay got in contact with Midoriya, and when Izawa gets to tap in, we get to find out that he was dragged by Toga Himiko to Octo Island, and he asked to get warped before the line cuts. And I wonder, like, oh wait, no, they're communicating through earbuds, not her telepathy, because I don't think you can't broadcast messages through the telepathy, right? I don't think so. I think that was the limit. Like, she can broadcast her own thoughts, but she can't broadcast others. So they were connected on earpiece, I think, because that's why Izawa grabs his head. And then, of course, the transmission cuts off. We get to see that the goal is we got to warp Midoriya back here, because if they don't, obviously it's a lose-lose scenario, because Midoriya is not there, meaning he's losing stamina at another place, and Shigaraki just gets ever bigger. And like I said in the beginning of the video, the bigger and bigger he gets, he can literally just drown them, smother them. Like, even if he can't activate his quirk, because Madwoma keeps him open to the very last, they'll just drown in his arms. Which I know some Shigaraki fangirls and fanboys and everyone else is definitely fine with that, but obviously our heroes aren't. We get to see that, unfortunately, due to the limitations of Madwoma's quirk, they can't risk trying to reactivate Warp Gate, because if they do, thanks to all the hands that Shigaraki has spawned, it's gonna be over because he's touching everything now. Like, the minimum he requires is 5 fingers, and this I mean, it could be very gamble-ish, right? Because I think I thought that too, but what if, due to the fact that these all count as hands, hold on, let me look up Decay real quick. So, like, the question becomes, does Decay only need 5 points of contact with his fingertips, or does it need all of his hands, or all of his fingers, or at least of one hand, to be touching something? And it'd be a way too stupid gamble. In fact, I wouldn't like it if the heroes did this, but I could see if Horikoshi went this route, because reasonably you could say that, unless I'm mistaken, Shigaraki is firing off all these extra hands from his right. Yeah, like, all these extra hands are coming from his left hand, so technically these points of contact are endless. Like, he would have to make sure all of those fingers touch something to make something decay, because notably, even if hundreds of some fingertips are touching, that's not his entire hand. His entire hand is that entire biomass, and they all have different fingertips, and we know if Shigaraki grabs something with 4 of his fingertips, it doesn't work. So maybe it's reliant on the whole hand. I doubt it, because it's being established here that, oh, if Erasure is deactivated, it's a GG, it's game over, essentially. But at the same time, I wonder if Shigaraki even tested that. I highly doubt it, because now, with this ultra mega hand amalgamation, is he going to be able to just suck it all back into his body? Like, since it's not a quirk, as he describes it, it's just his flesh growing. Is he going to have to, like, chop it off and leave it somewhere? Because that's a lot. He would have to, I'm not even sure how he would do that, unless he was able to shrink down his own flesh and then, like, repurpose it into something else. I really don't see how Shigaraki can truly progress from here with all this on here. Like, I bet this doesn't necessarily help his mobility much. Like, if Midoriya were to appear right now, somehow, of course it wouldn't make sense for him to, but if Midoriya were to somehow appear right here in this very instant and try to box on Shigaraki, like, the gigantic hand mass is going to get in the way of moving. So I wonder what his plan is post this. Obviously I get the main plan, wait till they run out of Erasure / drown them in flesh, so bada bing bada boom, you destroy everything with Decay, if that works that way. But at the same time, like, unless I mean, to be fair, Shigaraki's insane, and so is the All For One within him to a degree. So I wouldn't be shocked if his next move here would be to literally just off the arm and then regrow a singular hand and just have all that flesh just plop. And who knows, it may decay instantly afterwards, or he could just activate Decay on it himself with his new hand. But I don't know, it's just, like, for some reason, those two ideas mainly popped into my head when I first read this. Like, one, what is he going to do with the gigantic hand mess, and can he detach himself from it, and would he be willing to? And 2, can he not even activate Decay now, because there's so many points of contact he has to make, considering this is all technically still just one hand. Who knows? We'll see. But of course, we get to see that the main fear is obviously that if I'm wrong and the moment erasure is stopped with all those points of contact, if he only needs the bare minimum 5, yeah, they're all going to instantly die. And of course, we get to see that due to this, Monoma is unable to switch to Warp Gate, because that 10 seconds is all Shigaraki would need to just destroy everything. So Midoriya is essentially going to find his way back on his own. They don't necessarily have a choice. Meanwhile, up until he gets back, their main goal now is to stall Shigaraki, essentially. Or as Best Jeans puts it, who cares if we don't have one for all? I say we beat him right here and now. Genius, my boy, my home slice. One, you're not the main characters. I hate to say it. I don't care what Vlad King said to Monoma that one time. You guys are simply not those dudes. It's just the law of nature. You're not those guys. You are not those guys. So you're not going to defeat him. And two, I beat him right now. Like, what can y'all actually do? Like, what can y'all actually do? I don't know. But I do admit, I like the pose that they strike here again. Like, Ed Shot is posing up, Best Genius is acting as like a weird stepping platform from Miruko, Tamaki. And once again, there are little things in this chapter, character-wise, I like. Like, you get the little back and forth between Shigaraki and All For One. You get the fear in Monoma's heart of failure, which has been a big crux of his entire character. And you get this moment here where when everyone else declares, yeah, Tamaki's like, you're right. But then, of course, like, you could have just ended it off there. You didn't have to add in the, yeah, like I get it. Once again, this is unfortunate. It's the Bakugo issue, where like we're too afraid to let his development like fully exist. So we're always gonna need to pull back and have like a little bit of the undeveloped part show itself, instead of just fully like diving in and getting in deep with the development. And I get it, because some hardcore natures are repressed, and like they're not repressed, they're like so deeply ingrained into people that it's impossible to change. So even if they do have moments of character development, they're still going to have those moments of weakness. However, it's realism that fights against narrative and character impact. Like, I would prefer if Tamaki would just have declared it confidently and he showed off his development. Meanwhile, instead of having him just being like, yeah, like at the very end, because he still isn't that confident. Kind of defeats the point of him being more confident. However, it's not a problem. It's my own issue with narrative storytelling. Even though it perfectly makes sense and it's perfectly realistic, I'm still like, but you could have just left that out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But we move on, and we get to see Octo Island. We get to see Best Boyo, which is gang or please read Ogadamakizu. I beg of you. Just go read it. Go read it. It's great. Even heck, don't read Ogadamakizu. Read every single chapter that deals with the Orca Man. There you go. Sakamata. His name is literally the exact same. This is Kujo Sakamata. We had Sakamata in the original Ogadamakizu. Please go read it. It is just chef's kiss heat. But of course, we get to see that Octo Island actually holds this beautiful aquarium that Gang Orca actually runs, which I think it's kind of neat. He's a businessman on the side. But obviously, the thing arising here is that Octo Island is not just a nice, happy tourist resort spot. It's also the spot of the final battle for a lot of people. And we get to see Gang Orca calling watch out to his gang, because we get to see a no move that it reminds me of something so much. That's what it reminds me. Y'all, that's a spoiler. Is Horikoshi spoiling Bleach? For my Bleach fans, spoilers for Bleach, skip like, I mean, it's not necessarily too heavy. It's a character design spoiler. I'm not gonna say anything that happens to the character, but I think this is a reference to, and actually no, this may just be a reference to an angel design, because I think the character that I'm thinking of in Bleach that this reminds me of has that same look where they're floating in the sky and they have mainly just like a ribcage kind of look, and they have those multiple things that float around them, kind of like angel wings and stuff like that. Essentially, it's just a really cool design that that sparked something up like that in my head, and because I so recently finished Bleach, designs from the war arc are fresh in my head. So it kind of looks like Lily Barrow. Bada bing, bada boom. I think that's kind of neat. And of course, the interesting thing is that this thing is much tougher than the ones they saw in Jakku. Essentially, while Shigaraki is gone, All For One still had full access to juice these things up even more. He could make them stronger, and they could just grow stronger by existing longer outside of their test tubes, which is really, really cool to see. And we get to see, on top of that, we don't just have Nomus here, we have escaped convicts like Moonfish and Tokoyami. Let me just dial up the old telephone and tell you to get over here. You can leave the main All For One body alone. We're going to need you to run it back with Moonfish because I need that. But of course, Moonfish is out here using his teeth and craving that good, juicy flesh, as one should, you know, and he's trying to tear into these people. And we get to see that the whole squad is here, really, in terms of the villains, right? You get your League of Villains members, you get your Nomus, you get your escaped convicts from Tartarus, you get essentially a little wine and dine bit of everybody, in comparison to Shigaraki, who mainly just had Shigaraki. Like, they made sure to isolate him. And I get it, I definitely get it, right? Because you want to optimize for Shigaraki, but at the same time, right, why? I mean, I guess it wouldn't have been safe, right? Like, you couldn't have just teleported them into like a jail cell or a holding facility or something like that. Like, you couldn't put them in a place that they could have easily broken out of. But if you, why send people like Moonfish, Haya, Nomu, like this area? No, here's the thing. It comes down to the whole distribution effect. As strong as I think Sakamada is and should be compared to what I know of him from the previous Horikoshi series and what he's shown in this series, you kind of left him with some very heavy hitters. Seemingly on purpose, too. Like, this was part of their plan. This is who they wanted to go certain places. At least mostly. Like, we know they wanted to send Shigaraki to that location. They wanted to send certain heroes after the main All For One body. So why would you put, like, such high-level threats against a squad that's, no offense to them, but a squad that's kind of mediocre? Like, Orca's the only powerhouse here, and you have hard hitters like Moonfish, high-end Nomu, just demons. I do think it's cool, notably, as we see, I mean, fin puns, because obviously he's an aquatic creature. As you see Sakamata called a fin pun, we get to see that this girl from the anime filler. I forget her name, because I saw the anime filler in passing, but it's always cool. I do like when mangaka directly work with and accept their anime and sometimes take designs and take ideas and philosophies from the anime and add them into the manga. So it's always cool to see those designs pop up, especially since I think that was actually a pretty well, like, Horikoshi style designed filler character. I'm not sure if Horikoshi himself designed her or whatever, but of course we get to see that she's checking in on Asui, who is alright, but they're more so worried, but Asui is more so worried about Midoriya and Uraraka. And we get to see that apparently they were caught in the shockwave. And I guess this is a shockwave produced by one of the high ends or something like that. Like, I'm not sure where the shockwave came from, but they're caught in it, and obviously Asui's a bit worried for them. And essentially the main issue that's being produced here is that the battlefield that they chose is very, very chaotic. And because it's so chaotic, despite the fact that they have a lot of aquatic type heroes here, it's going along the side of the villains because they thrive in chaos. The whole planned, organized nature of heroes doesn't suit very well in a scenario that's so chaotic. Like, literally, we get this huge panel of them fighting in the water, and you see all these different beasts and nobles and villains and heroes. Like, they're all just fighting and clashing and turning around. Obviously, this isn't a scenario that the heroes can easily control, which makes sense. But it also makes you question, I mean, I get it, this is like a faraway stronghold, so it prevents any of the villains from going and helping either of the bodies of All For One. But you couldn't find a more stable place to fight. Like, there's no other place you could take them other than like an island where they could very easily take advantage of the terrain as you could. I don't know, it felt kind of weird. But of course, we get to see that Uraraka asked for an update for what Midoriya had, or his quick call with Izawa, and Midoriya realized that, well, they can't use warp for some reason, so I'm gonna have to go on my own. So Midoriya, my boy, I hate to say this, but you are the strongest person here by a long shot. So call me crazy, call me nutty, call me a little bit stupid if you will, but why don't you just solo? like if need be, why don't you just solo? This may be a twisted opportunity, but at the same time, I feel like it's not too insane, it's not too wild, not too crazy of an assertion that you could literally just blitz body bag everybody here and then leave. Help the heroes round them up real quick and then go. I mean, you're already messed up, and obviously turning your back to a whole bunch of villains, especially some of these aquatic ones, probably wouldn't be very good. It may help if you could just quickly take down all the villains, considering they should all be fodder to you. Who knows? But hey, maybe I'm just nutty, I'm just crazy, I'm just stupid. But we get to see that as Uraraka commands Midoriya to hurry up and get out of here, Toga comes out the clutch and she almost gets her boy. She almost gets him. But Midoriya now has the reaction speed to avoid her. Didn't have the reaction, and I get it. No, I don't, because once again he has his back turned to her. But then again, this is water, so he may have heard the water break, and that's how he reacts. But geez, I still find it insane. I know. Let me stop complaining about it because I've already gone on for like 3 chapters in a row at this point. But of course, we get to see that Toga is. She's here because she dragged Midoriya here because she loves him. She says, Himiko Toga declared her love for Midoriya. And now for some reason, I'm getting flashbacks. Like, I can already smell y'all in the comments. If Toga has confessed her love to Midoriya directly to the face before, and I'm just forgetting, then I'm forgetting. But if so, that's even worse. Because the thing is, right, Uraraka, her whole character, and here before, there's more to her character than her narrative utility at this point is Midoriya's love interest. Her entire recent arc, ever since, like, post sports festival, has been the whole Midoriya love thing. That's essentially her entire arc. I hate to say it, but she's always been Midoriya's support. That's it. She's a cling on to that character. You remove Midoriya from the narrative as a byproduct, you're gonna remove a lot. But you definitely have to remove Uraraka because she doesn't have a motivation in the narrative that's been highlighted outside of her poverty that has been taken seriously for over hundreds of chapters. Like, her poverty has been used as a joke or not mentioned. So this is her whole thing. So to see Toga come out the clutch and still like this is a massive walking out. Like, Uraraka just is an insane out. Like, how do you fumble? How do you fumble this badly? How? Like, there's folding, then there's fumbling, then there's folding while fumbling. Like, how do you do that? Because Toga is clearly the client. And the thing is, akin to Uraraka, her love is just it has so many gains to it that, according to the user of Danger Sense, the originator of it, oh no, she likes him so much that the threat is not registering as danger. That is Danger Sense's cheeks. Let's be real. Who wants danger? I will take Ultra Instinct. I will take the Spider Sense. I'll take Jarvis. Like, come on. What use is it going to, if I like somebody in like, say it's you know what, I'll give it credit. This is such a specific weird circumstance that I'll let it slide. But the fact that Danger Sense has a weakness like that is just, I don't know, it's absurd to me. It blows my mind that Danger Sense can be exploited by someone who just really wants you that badly. Like, it's kind of crazy to me that that's it. But no, I still got to go back to clowning Uraraka, like, legitimately. And the thing is, we get to see that Midoriya, of course, questions what is going on with the idea that, one, his Danger Sense isn't working, but he also questions Toga, like, well, what do you want from me? I get you love me and stuff like that. And Toga is like, I want you to be my boyfriend. And the L, it's just like capital, square, how, I like, I turned into Velociraptor. Like, what, how? That is insane. That is insane. Yo, Midoriya be pulling more than your average harem protagonist. I hate to say. What? Let's go down the list real quick. Uraraka, May, Toga, Melissa. I'm missing some. Heck, Nagan, if you squint that hard. No, that's illegal. That's very. Then again, forget it. Like, that's at least 4 legal ones. even though one of them is a mass murdering villain. But regardless, 4 people. Now, the 4 people who, well, then again, I think Melissa's just a family. I don't know. I never saw that movie. So let me not talk. I never even saw that movie. But, and to be fair, he pulled by accident. So let me cut it down. But if we're being generous, and I'm cutting it down to a point. The 2 main people who have expressed remote interest in Midoriya in the past, before this chapter, the main 2 are Uraraka and Toga. Now, the reason this matters is because this crush on Midoriya, this whole idea of love, is very intrinsically tied into both characters. So thusly, any sort of love confession or any sort of desire for love that's being more than internalized within these characters is going to be very important. And whoever does it first is also going to be very important, because this would be and feels like a monumental motive or point of the narrative. This feels like something that, yes, was meant to happen. It was going to happen eventually. However, it's the pacing that makes Uraraka look bad. Not the pacing, the placement. Like the idea that this is the time that it happens, and Uraraka hasn't even gotten to properly say her feelings of Midoriya. It feels almost backwards. Like I feel like it would have been better if Uraraka opened with that, and then Toga came in, and maybe like if you had to do a love triangle, do it so where the main female of the series has a chance to, if not lead, be like a major part of the love triangle. Like just him being there as a goal for both of them is fine. You know, you have people that are goals for you, but I don't know. It feels weird, right? It feels out of place. It feels like Uraraka should have said it first, especially considering that it's so important to her character. But hey, Toga stole it, and I can't knock her hustle. You know, be like that when I be like that sometimes. Take the opportunity. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so take the darn shot. And Toga did not hesitate. She came straight to the goal and scored. However, the question is if she actually scored? Because notably, Uraraka is slightly shocked by the proclamation, but it's really Midoriya who looks downright terrified by the prospect. And I don't blame him. I'm not a Toga stan, unfortunately. I don't like her character either. But hey, that's it. That's the end of the chapter, and now we wait to see what Midoriya's response. It'd be hilarious if he said yes and the story just ended. I don't know why. I feel like that'd be funny. But other than that, please tell me your thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, do a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Other Pencil, writing off.